Hello and welcome to this 24th day of MIAMAFV, where I take a look at Overwatch 2 years later.
It's red panty night when you decide to fight me, yeah?
Have you ever? No, I've never! I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
I'm gay.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here, so buckle up. Overwatch, when it was announced in 2015, was a big fucking deal. We are a year away from the official launch of the game, and still this game is humongous. There is fan art being made of it a year before it even hits store shelves. It's unprecedented, and when the beta finally came out in 2016, I was sitting there saying to myself, hey, this is a Team Fortress 2 clone. Straight up, it's a Team Fortress 2 clone. Anybody who's ever played TF2 can attest to this. And I don't really hold this against the game now. At the time I did, but right now I don't hold it against the game at all. That is because Blizzard was looking to take on the first-person shooter market, and they very wisely stepped back and said, okay, well, what is the biggest first-person shooter right now that has had the most longevity? And that is far and away Team Fortress 2, an objective-based, class-based first-person shooter. Of course, Call of Duty has been big for a long time, but its interest is waning. Plus, Treyarch and Activision and the other developers basically have to crank out one a year in order to keep the hype up. Whereas Team Fortress 2 has been around for about 10 years and shows no signs of slowing down. Still has, to this day, a very solid user base. So Blizzard says, if we want to get into FPSs, this is the place to do it. Class-based, objective-based shooters. And so that's what they do. And to amazing success. The beta had a lot of problems with it, but most of those, actually 90% of those problems are hammered out by the time the game hits store shelves May 24th, 2016. The game is, at launch, a rousing success by any metric you use. Absolutely, no question. I'm not even going to sit here and say that Overwatch didn't meet expectations, because that would be a lie. Overwatch just blew the expectations out of the fucking water. It truly was the fucking second coming. As the game starts to age and we go through competitive Season 1 and Season 2, we start to run into some new problems. People are starting to understand the game and are starting to exploit it. This doesn't mean that there's certain glitches that you can use. It just means that there's certain playstyles that you can use that there are no proper counters to. This is the sort of online growing pains of any competitive video game out there. You're going to have some people that just figure out how to make something happen, and there's just no good answer to it in the game code that currently exists. So that's why you get patches. This is why you get buffs and nerfs. And Overwatch basically gets into the habit of putting out a new set of buffs and nerfs for all their characters every month or so. When Ana hit the new hero, the triple tank meta was pretty solid. There was no good team comp against it. It was pretty much you run triple tank or even quad tank and you win. If you just have Ana and Mercy on your team and Reinhardt, Zarya, and one other tank, you're pretty much guaranteed to have success. Team Overwatch does not like that. Blizzard does not like that. They do not like this sort of must have this character in order to win kind of mentality or kind of team composition. This is one thing that they strive day after day after day to curtail at every point. And as we go through competitive season after competitive season, every problem that gets patched up has a new problem arise. I'm sure everybody here who has played Overwatch, who remembers the base game Mercy, who had her ultimate, the res, remembers Mercy's coming in at the last possible second, resing all 5 dead team members and completely flipping the tables on the enemy team. And the gameplay with Mercy was basically let your team run in there, have them kill as many people as possible, have them all die, hopefully on the point, hopefully take out 2 or 3 of the enemy team. Now there's only 3 or 4 of them left. Swoop in, huge res all 5 team members. Now it's 6 versus 3 or 6 versus 4 or something, and then you just auto win. Blizzard does not want that shit to happen. They do not want a core mechanic of the game being one person not fucking playing and sitting there and waiting for everybody to die and then just hit Y to auto win. They don't fucking want that. And so they nerf Mercy and they give her basically a spam res, and they keep trying to make this not as big of a deal. But now you have another problem where she's just spam resing. Every time somebody dies, she just reses them up, and then, you know, the cooldown becomes 30 seconds, a minute. Well, Valkyrie just gives you 2 quick reses, that's too much. Well, just 1 quick res, that's too much. Well, 1 slow res, and Valkyrie, the ultimate, does nothing for you anymore. Now Mercy's completely useless. And this is another problem we have with all of the heroes in Overwatch, is some of them are just one-trick ponies. Roadhog. Roadhog used to have this chain that never missed, brought the enemy that you hooked near you, and then you had a shotgun that could just one-hit kill them. Well, now the hook is only effective if you get a direct hit, and the shotgun occasionally doesn't do enough damage to one-hit kill them. That's Roadhog's whole plays: hook, shotgun, 1-hit kill, or 2 hits if you count the hook. You take that away from him, what do you got? You got a fucking bullet sponge, that's it. You take Mercy's huge res from her, or her ability to spam res, what do you have? You have an okay healer, and that's about it. She can't really defend herself, and she's out on her own. You might as well have Zenyatta at that point. And this kind of goes into the other thing of the problem with ultimates. And I know a lot of people are going to say this is the whole point of the game, is trying to figure out when best to use your ultimate, but I cannot tell you how many times I was winning a game, beating somebody in the straight up game. Like, they were literally not able to hit the fucking point, but there would be one ultimate that would come in and have them win the game just off of one good Diva self-destruct throw, or one good Earth Shatter with Reinhardt, or one good res with Mercy. If they didn't have that, they weren't going to win the game. And it's not like all 3 of those things being used in conjunction with one another. It was literally just one Earth Shatter. Got all 4, 5, 6 of us stunned at one time, and then we all fucking died. One good Diva throw killed 5 people on our team, and then they were able to push and take the objective. Again, I know some people are going to say, well, that's part of the game. You got to be able to know when to use your ultimate. You got to be able to know how to defend against the ultimate. Some of the ultimates you just can't defend against. Earth Shatter. You know, if you are lined up in a tight enough cone and Reinhardt hits Y at the right time, it's over. You're stun locked. You die. Regroup on the next point. Oh, there is no next point. This was the last point. Well, auto win. Some of those ultimates are just auto wins. Sorry. And I don't know how to fix that other than nerf the fuck out of ultimates so that they aren't that big of a deal. But then you beg the question of, well, why do we even have ultimates? That's the problem with Overwatch. One of the core gameplay mechanics is hit Y to win. I don't know how you get around that. There are some characters that have such good ultimates when added on to another character's ultimate that, again, they are auto wins. If you have Zarya use her Graviton Surge, which collects everybody on the enemy team into one single point where they can't escape from, and then you have the enemy Genji go Dragon Blade where he can just one-hit melee kill people, well, that's an auto win. You just killed all 4, 5, 6 people you could capture in the Graviton Surge. You Dragon Bladed them. Now they're all dead. Auto win. You could have lost every single battle up to that point. It doesn't matter. You had 2 good ults. You win the game. That's kind of problematic. I don't think one battle should determine the war. But then again, that's just me. The other problem with this is there are so many patches, so many buffs, so many nerfs that come out every single month that it's really, really hard to keep up with sometimes. And that's for somebody who's knee deep in this shit like I am. Now imagine somebody who doesn't play every single week. Imagine somebody who doesn't know the patch notes that are coming out. Imagine somebody who takes a couple of competitive seasons off. Now what? This is a huge problem for the longevity of the game. And what I mean by that is, let's go back to Halo 3. Halo 3 came out September 25th, 2007. If you took somebody who played the launch game Halo 3 2007, went into Team Slayer on day 1 and was pretty good and played for the whole first month that Team Slayer was out, and let's say that he got all the way up to a 41 in Team Slayer, and then you just told him, hey, stop, and he took the next few years off. And let's say that the next time he picked up that game was when the last patch came out, and he picks it up September 2011. After Halo Reach has come out, after the last patches come out. He picks up that game, and it takes him a while to kind of figure out how the damage tables have leveled out. It takes him a while to figure out where the new weapon spawns are and everything. But eventually he figures it out, and he's on the same level that he was 4 years ago. That's not that far-fetched. That's pretty reasonable to expect. That he could play a game for the first month, 6 months or whatever, put it down, and get basically back in the swing of things. Now, flip that around. Let's say you play Overwatch for the first 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You play all the way through competitive season 1, and then you stop. Competitive season 10 is starting off just now in May, and you pick the game back up. You are going to be completely fucking lost. You are not going to have a goddamn clue what's going on. The character that you used to use back in the day to just such brutal effectiveness is completely nerfed or completely changed, and you just don't know what the fuck you're doing out there. Meanwhile, other characters that used to be completely useless are now owning your shit. Symmetra, who used to be completely fucking useless, now has this auto-aim gun that can just fucking melt your face off in a few seconds around a corner. It's going to take you a lot longer to get back in the swing of things. And that's the problem with Overwatch, is that if you put it down for too long, it becomes very, very hard to pick it back up again. And there's so many patches coming out, it's easy to just put it down and say, I don't want to put up with this anymore. It's the same reason why I gave up on Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day, the card game. I used to play that competitively back in 2010, 2011. The ban list came out, a brand new ban list of cards you couldn't use, used to come out every 6 months. Eventually they upped it. It was like every 4 months or something like that. And I would have a deck that I had spent months and months and months building and playtesting over and over and over, and had spent hundreds of dollars on, only to have it completely undercut by 1 or 2 banned cards all of a sudden. And then I just couldn't use it. It was no longer effective. And I would just go, oh my god, are you serious? I spent all this time, and then they just undercut the whole fucking thing? Fuck. And then you put it down, you never play Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, then you try to get back into it a few years later, and then like so much more shit has changed, you're just like, holy fuck, it's even worse now, fuck it. And then you just never pick it back up again. That's the way I was with Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's the way I'm kind of feeling now with Overwatch, is it changes so much so fast, it's hard to get back into it. It really is. And I don't know what the longevity of Overwatch is going to end up looking like. Are people going to keep playing it? Are people going to keep picking it up? Are the original old breed going to adapt and overcome if they choose to stop playing? Or are they going to pick it back up, or will they put it down forever like I did with Yu-Gi-Oh? Those are questions that are going to be answered here in the next few years. Overwatch is no longer the most played video game online anymore. To be honest, PUBG and Fortnite kind of came out of nowhere. Nobody saw the Battle Royale craze coming. Nobody saw that shit coming. And with Overwatch being kind of a time sink and kind of a big problem when it comes to people trying to justify the amount of time they put into it, games that require you to just put in a few minutes here, a few minutes there, and just put in one good long game at most, like Fortnite or PUBG, where you could have one 30-minute long game where you potentially win the greatest prize of ever, being the best out of 100 different players. Those games have a lot more appeal. You know, it's you versus the field. You really don't need a team. I mean, there are team battles on those games, but you can just play solo. Whereas in Overwatch, you gotta have a team. And if your team isn't that good, or you have one weak link, it can really fuck up your time. Thus is the nature for team-based games. Whereas in these battle royale games, you can play by yourself, duos, squads, whatever. Overwatch is kind of stuck with the team-based thing. Oddly enough, Blizzard has completely missed the mark on the next big thing in first-person shooters, or third-person shooters in the case of Fortnite and PUBG. The battle royale craze. They didn't see that coming. I didn't see it coming. Nobody saw it coming. So it's really interesting to see what will happen as we move forward. Will Overwatch adapt and overcome? Will they outlast the battle royale craze? Will they succumb to it and try to have some sort of battle royale Overwatch thing? Or will it go the way of the dodo bird? Will Overwatch fold into the annals of history like Star Wars Battlefront? Only time will tell. But anyway, I'm Slapshoes. This has been the 24th day of MIAMAFV, and I will catch you next time. Take it easy.